Everyone's favorite Disney princess, Rachel Zegler, is at it again. Oh my goodness, what a week she's been having without saying anything. Saying anything at all. Basically, what's been happening is that people have been going back, digging out their old stuff that they could find on Rachel Zegler, and it's been a doozy of a week for her. This is not looking good, and basically Disney are going to have to do a lot of damage control. If you are just joining me, welcome. My name is Rachel. This is Chat About It. Don't shout about it. Don't forget to follow me here on Twitch and, of course, on my YouTube and my Rumble. Oh man, this has been an interesting week. She's not having a good week at all. So she's basically blacked out her profile pretty much on Twitter. But here you go. Let's get into it. Warnings issued about Rachel Zegler ahead of Snow White. The 22-year-old actress has been in the news lately, mainly regarding the Disney live-action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, 1937. Evidently so. 1937. It's a slew of controversy. She's found herself in multiple controversies, including statements saying she hated the original 1937 animated classic and the Disney ride, slamming the idea of Snow White dreaming about love and calling the prince a stalker. Oh, you'll see this. You'll see this. But it is a big budget film, and Disney hopes that it will make a profit. Like on any movie, I don't think it's going to make a profit. Because from what I've heard, the reactions to the test screening of Snow White were not positive. So they are looking to do a lot of reshoots. The movie has suffered criticism over the decision to have magical creatures instead of dwarves. Yeah, because, apparently dwarves are just so stereotyped. And not being funny, dwarves can only really and should only really be played by dwarves. But there you go. Oh, look, there she is. Due to the current SAG-AFTRA strike, the unions prohibit actors and actresses from promoting any films they have worked on. As such, there hasn't been much promotional front on the movie, which unfortunately for Disney has sent many in the media searching for previous statements from cast and crew, and this is not looking good. And the old videos have resurfaced. So, in an article published by the Daily Mail, branding experts have warned that the West Side Story actress comments could have huge impact on ticket sales. And she's not the best person to promote the film. He continued, instead of taking the lead of Little Mermaid's Halle Bailey, I always want to say Halle Berry. Sorry, Halle Bailey. And embracing her role, Rachel has actively chosen to spoil the narrative and express the new direction Snow White has taken in. Listen, Disney will tell Rachel and Gal and anyone else who is appearing in the movie things to say. Okay, and you will know pretty much the things that she has been told to say, because it's near enough word for word the same pretty much every time. But there are some things that she is saying which Disney are going to have to basically shut her up on, because it's not looking good. We'll get to it. But Nick Eade, who predicted that Disney executives could be having crisis talks about how to promote and market the movie in the light of the Rachel Zegler controversies. Interestingly, some articles are now coming out saying, leave her alone. No. Another brand expert has contributed her warnings as well. Disney need to be careful with how they have portrayed Snow White and what they do and don't want. Don't allow their actors to say going forwards. They simply cannot repeat some mistakes and allow the actors to be so vocal in their own opinions during promotions. Yeah, I agree. It has huge impact on ticket sales. especially with the amount of negative backlash so early in promo trail. So they believe that it could actually impact on the financial success of the film. Wouldn't it be interesting if Disney finishes off themselves off with this film? Because, you know, this film is really what sent Disney into like the millions. I mean, obviously we know we had Mickey Mouse and all of that before them, but Snow White came along in 1937, and it being the first animated film really just set the bar very high. But yeah, they're basically predicting that it's going to go wrong and it's not going to look good because of what she's been saying. And I could have sworn I'd seen something that she had posted, like some kind of video that she had posted where she liked Snow White. I think she's quite narcissistic, if you want me to be honest as well. So Tugs, that Tug Life on Twitter, Rachel Zegler is single-handedly destroying this movie. My TikTok feed is full of people on all sides posting about her holier-than-thou crappy attitude is not okay, and Snow doesn't need to be modern. Well, actually, yeah, I agree. Snow White doesn't actually need to be modern because it is actually a period piece. It is 1813, I believe, and the Russian version is like 1833 or something like that. You know, so it doesn't need to be modernized. And to be honest with you, you know, she's going along with this. Well, anyway, I'm going to let you watch the video. I mean, you've probably seen it, but I haven't had time to cover it this week at all. So we're going to do it now. It's been impressive how many people she's turned against seeing Snow White. Bravo. Okay. Watch this.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a...
Evidently so. Is that a problem, Rachel? Because I don't think it's a problem. The film doesn't look old. It doesn't look dated. Are you saying that it is dated? Clearly.
Focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Oh, yeah, because that's hilarious. Weird. Listen, the guy does not stalk her. Okay, it's Snow White. She's literally dreaming that to get away from her stepmother, and she meets this man, and she's like, oh, she's intrigued by him. You know, of course, because not playing Maria in West Side Story, playing alongside, you're this young 14-year-old girl, ironically, and Snow White is also, I believe, about 14. Of course, that's not weird when Tony basically stalks you, or sort of like whatever. I don't think it's stalking, really. Tony takes one look at you. I'm in love. That's basically what happens with Snow White. She sees the prince. She's like, wow, who is this guy? He is hot. But she didn't say that about West Side Story.
So we didn't do that this time. Cast a guy. The movie, Andrew Burnett, great dude. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
That's what I mean by narcissist. Sorry, I just that really annoyed me. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. That's rude. It's not even funny. That's just plain rude. Now, I would hope that he does not get his scenes cut, because that's unfair. I mean, I know that the prince is going to be just there, but okay. Oh, this is the SAG-AFTRA strike. Let's listen to this.
There are 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
That is extremely arrogant. The way she's saying that, I deserved to be paid for every hour online that is streamed. That would be just hard to control. I think she's a narcissist.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like,
If you're scared of the cartoon, why are you doing Snow White?
I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't
Ride's fine.
sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrible.
A lot of kids do like that ride.
So I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years when I was doing this film. It's no longer...
This is Disney's spokeswoman for this. You know what? The original voice of Snow White paved the way so that you could play Snow White.
1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. Reality.
I actually think that Snow White in the film, in the animation, is actually very strong. I think she's a strong woman. I do. She's 14 years old, around about, and she lives with her stepmother. She does all this housework, and then her stepmother basically is like, no, she's the fairest in the land, so we got to get rid of her. And so she goes into the forest with the huntsman, and he tries to do it, but he can't. So she manages to, so she basically, quote unquote, escapes her evil stepmother, and she listens to the huntsman. She flees. She's in the forest. She is terrified. Natural and acceptable feelings. You know, you remember that live stream I did last night with that stuff that was going on in the forest? Oh boy, that's scary stuff. Being alone in a forest at night when it's dark is quite scary. And she overcomes those fears. She meets the dwarves, and she basically teaches them to be better human beings, and makes them a lot better. I mean, look at the turnaround of Grumpy. You know, he's really horrible. He really doesn't like her. This, that, and the other. And he tries to be grumpy, but he just can't help it when she's around. And he ends up liking her and becoming a better version of himself, even though he's still grumpy. And they all become better versions of themselves. And she does the housework. Yes, she's a feminist, but that is okay. That is still a feminist character. If you want to do all those things as a woman, then that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. But your voice is still valid. All of this, you know, Prince is not going to save us stuff. Sometimes women just want to be saved by a prince. Sometimes people just want a normal fairy tale.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago. It's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power. And
no, it's not. No, it's not. Because there are still stay-at-home mums. There are still housewives. Not every woman goes to work. There are female leaders as well in this world. But they don't have to be like strong and independent and no man helps them at all.
What a woman is fit for in the world. And so when we...
Woman is fit for. There's a lot of things that women are fit for. And Snow White represents some of them.
Came to reimagining the actual role. Snow White has to learn a lot of lessons about coming into her own power before she can come into power over a kingdom.
Which is not going
No, she doesn't.
Saved by the prince, and she's the proactive one, and she's the one who set terms.
Because men can't do anything anymore. Sorry, man. I hate to break it to you.
Makes it so relevant to where we are today.
Wow. So Rachel Zegler hates Snow White. She thinks that Snow White has a stalker. She didn't like the ride at Disney. She didn't like the film. None of that. And yet she's the one that's playing Snow White. She's the one that's making it PC. She's the one that's doing this. She's the one that's revolutionizing all of this. And she's doing this with Disney. And it's all biting her in the backside, basically. This is not a good look for her. Gal Gadot is already out of the running for the prequel, and if there is ever going to be a sequel, she is not doing it. I believe that's already being confirmed, and I heard along the grapevine, although I have yet to confirm this, and I really should, but I have heard that Gal Gadot is not returning for reshoots either. That is how bad things are with Disney. Who knows? But, you know, this supposed lady who hates Snow White has been posting things like this. This is from someone else's Twitter feed. I love being Snow White. Oh, doesn't ever get old. There she is holding a doll of Snow White. And then that is something that's written in different English, so I can't read it. But there she is, posing, doing that, or laughing. I don't know what face she's making here. Snow White is blatantly scared because her stepmother, the evil old lady, old hag, is there. And yeah, so apparently she doesn't like Snow White, yet she's posting all of this. It's so contradictory. And, you know, remember when she got the backlash? Her Twitter profile here is all blacked out. This is actually from Rachel Zegler herself. Extremely appreciative of the love I feel from those defending me online, but please don't tag me in the nonsensical discourse about my casting. Obviously, that's referring to her being cast, even though she's Latina, which I have talked about in a previous video. I don't agree with her casting, but, you know, that aside, it's irrelevant. So I leave you with these photos. I hope every child knows they can be a princess no matter what. Oh, and look at this. Snow White. Listen, if I really was that scared of Snow White as a kid, which I wasn't, but if I really was that scared of Snow White, I wouldn't be dressed up like this. I wouldn't be seen in a Snow White costume, because I'd be truly terrified of Snow White. That doesn't strike me as someone who is scared of it. And then, of course, there are other pictures here. There's her as Belle. Belle's my favourite. But yeah, I wouldn't be wearing Snow White costumes. Just saying. But oh, this is the Insider article. It's pretty much a regurgitation of everything that I have just said. So I'll just I'll ping that into the chat in a minute. And if you are watching this on Rumble or YouTube, then it will be in the description below, along with the other links that I have pulled for this article and for this talk about Rachel Zegler. But Rachel Zegler is really causing major damage on every past thing that she has said, basically. And it looks like it's going to be major damage control from Disney in order to basically tell her to zip it. I know at the moment she has to because she's on strike. Interestingly, it will be interesting to see if Disney decide to go ahead with the reshoots whilst the strike is going on, and if the Snow White contracts are all under UK contracts, Rachel Zegler will probably be expected to leave the strike and go and do those reshoots. That said, you know, it is chaos. All of her past comments have just come to light in like the last sort of like week or so, even though I haven't had time to cover it. And it's just a doozy. It's such a controversy. And if you listen to what she's saying is, you know, basically, I think what she's been pumped with by Disney is, you know, that she's not going to be saved by the prince and she's going to be like this strong, independent woman, sorry. But what she's not been told to say, I think, is that the prince is a stalker. I don't think she would have been told to say that. And making comments about how much she hated the ride, whereas as actresses such as like Emma Watson, Halle Bailey, they have all right past comment on how much they actually love the characters that they've been able to portray. Listen, I do not agree with this different direction that Disney has taken entirely with Snow White. I wish that it was much more like the earlier live action films, like Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast are probably the two best examples. Yes, they do have embellishments in them, but they are the true fairy tales here, and they pretty much stick to the storyline. So with Cinderella, it's Cinderella, it's Cinderella, you know what's going on. She falls in love with the prince, and good for her. And with Beauty and the Beast, they literally added back in a couple of songs, added the song for the Beast. Obviously, we know the Beast's backstory, and they just added a bit more embellishment to fill out Emma Watson's character of Belle. And that's fine. It didn't really make any massive amounts of difference, and that's fine. I don't mind sort of added extras if it just embellishes the story. I don't believe in changing an entire story. I don't believe in changing the character's race, and I don't believe in changing the character's disability just for the sake of doing it. I don't believe in any of that, and I do believe that everything that Rachel Zegler is doing is causing, or has done, is causing major damage for Disney, and it's going to be a lot of damage control because content creators like me are going for the jugular. Listen, Rachel is young at the end of the day. She has a lot to learn about our industry, my industry. We have the same industry. She's got a lot to learn about it. She hasn't been in it for as long as I have, but control what you say. Bring it back. Just do the talking points that Disney have told you to do, and don't say any more. You notice that Gal Gadot basically just keeps to the talking points, but that's because Gal Gadot knows what she's doing. But yeah, just keep it pulled back. Don't embellish it with things like stalker and things like that. It's not right. It's not what Disney has asked you to do. You're just doing it. And the fact that you actually say that you hate Disney, I think that's probably the worst bit about it, actually. Sorry, not that you hate Disney. Sorry, that you hated Snow White. Sorry, I will correct myself. Anyway, that's it for this section on Rachel Zegler. It's quite a lot to talk about. I think I've talked about it for long enough. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Do you agree with what she's saying? Do you think Snow White should be changed so radically? Do you think she should be this strong, influential leader that her father, King White, basically taught her to be? Or do you just think that people just want the traditional fairy tale, and it's okay to be someone like Snow White in the original 1937 animation? I know what I think, but what do you think? Chat about it, don't shout about it.